Hello, guys, and thanks for joining me again. It's me, your movie guru, back with another review. This time, none other than a film I have been very excited to see for a long time, Joker. This film has been, to say the least, generating a lot of buzz. First in the film festivals, where it got a lot of acclaim. Some people would even say completely over the top. People throwing around, critics throwing around like movie of the year and subversive and controversial and all these superlatives. And then more recently, it's been getting a lot of controversy due to its subject matter. Some people have been questioning, is this the type of movie that you want to show in today's climate? And it's been getting politicized, both sides of the aisle, having their own opinions about it. A lot of this came before the movie actually even aired. So a lot of opinions have been on this movie from people that haven't even seen it. So I just wanted to preface it with that to kind of show what type of context this film has been in. And just to give my own thoughts on that, when I go to see a movie, I try to ignore all the things like in the current climate that when you look on in the future, those are going to be gone away. So, people watching this movie 25, 30, 40 years from now, they're not going to be watching it in that same context. So to me, for any film, it's an important that it kind of has a way that it stands on its own. Not to say that to ignore the context it's in, because I believe with a lot of art, you have to fully understand it. Sometimes you have to look at, the era that produced it, where it came from and what it was commenting on to truly understand it. But I also believe that great art is something that, kind of transcends time, where I can look on a painting or I can look at a movie from 100 years ago and, it means something to me. I can get the message it's conveying. It might not be the same for me as someone of that period, but, it does mean something to me. And that's why, I try to separate the movie from the current controversy it's causing. Captain Marvel kind of got some of the same in today's 2019's climate, politicized controversy and all this. So I just try to put that aside and, enjoy film. And that's, what I want to do here. For a lot of you that don't know, I am a big Joker fan, just as a character. I have been, I remember ever since I was a little kid, not specifically the Joker, but I've always liked clowns. I know that's maybe a little weird, but I guess I'm dating myself here, but growing up, Bozo the Clown used to be on TV. I was a big fan. And from that time, I've really enjoyed clowns. I like movies about clowns. I like clowns in general. And partially because of that, I've always been a fan of the Joker, and particularly the Joker because I feel his story is interesting, and he's not like a typical villain that you see. And I think what a lot of people miss about his character is that I think one of the shining aspects of his character is that he's supposed to be two sides of the same coin when compared with Batman. That's something that I think that a lot of people miss or don't interpret that way. But that's part of the reason why I think makes his character so interesting. So all that was just to preface it to say, that's what I'm thinking about going into this movie. You coming in as an average moviegoer, you might not feel that same way or, have that backstory. So in that vein, I would say for your average moviegoer coming in, I thought that this movie was a masterpiece. And it was a masterpiece in a few different ways. One that I'm sure that a lot of you have heard about is Joaquin Phoenix's acting. Definitely took the character over the top. It's not his first time doing really well in acting. He has several movies where he's been superb in acting. The one that most immediately comes to mind for me is The Master, which he co-stars in along with Philip Seymour Hoffman. They both do a great job. But to say, just to say that this isn't Mr. Phoenix's first rodeo. Like he's a great actor. He's shown he's a great actor. And he really brings that forward here. He puts his heart and soul on a Joker. And, you know, it's a role that you can see that he takes seriously, and he did a phenomenal job with. So that, you know, the acting is excellent. What I also really enjoyed about the film was, so if you come into this film, you know, expecting like Batman style action, you know, that type of action flick or a comic book action flick, you're going to be disappointed. This film, like I said, to me, one of the biggest takeaways from it that makes it more, I don't know if appealing is the right word, but more representative to a lot of different people, more so than just comic book fans or DC fans, is the fact that the character that they create and that they portray, it doesn't have to be Joker. So the fact that it is Joker, you know, gives it an immediate name, gives it, you know, something, a title that people recognize, a character that people recognize, and, you know, that will bring in that audience. But if you took Joker out of the title, and instead, you know, this was just a story of a regular man, and this is what happens to him, and this is what he does and what he goes on to do, the film still works, and it still works to great effect. And that's, you know, one of the biggest things I like about the movie is that, yeah, you know, the comic book aspect, the fact that it's the Joker is what's going to bring people in, but it would work just as well if it wasn't. Like, yeah, there are elements throughout the film that, you know, kind of make sense or, you know, have more meaning, you know, if you understand that this is, you know, Batman's villain, you know, when he meets Bruce Wayne, for instance, or that's a mild spoiler, but the fact that it's set in Gotham, or, you know, some of the atmosphere surrounding Gotham, you know, some of those you understand more intuitively, you know, if you understand that, you know, if you're well versed in Batman lore and how that works. But even if you weren't, you know, this film, if you had never heard of Batman, like I said, there are a few things that you wouldn't quite get, but this film still works. And it really, I saw it on Thursday night, and I'm still unpacking everything that this movie contains. I think that it's a very nuanced film, something that, you know, you really have to see multiple times, or, you know, really sit and think about what was going on in the film and what it had to say. You know, so there are some obvious things, like you look at it and say, okay, this film is about mental illness. But when you look a little deeper, you say, okay, it's not, you know, you look at it and say it's about mental illness, it's about society. But when you dig a little deeper, you can see that it is actually a little bit more than that. It has a message about society. It has a message about mental illness, but it has a message about people in general. And then it has a message about people that, you know, are trying to do good. You know, it has a message about them. And then it has a message on, you know, blame and redemption and suppression, oppression. Like it really is more than what you first think. Like I thought it was pretty straightforward after first seeing the film and, you know, hearing what people had to say about it. But then when I started to think about some of the aspects of, you know, some of the things that transpired through the film, it really gave you pause and really made you think more, where, you know, where you think that, okay, this person was the villain, or this is what this is trying to say. But then you think about another scene that kind of subverted that, and where you say that, well, okay, if this was the message they were trying to bring across, then why did this happen then? You know, if they're saying that this is the good guy, then why did they portray him like this? Or if this is the bad guy, why is he portrayed this way? Like I say, and then interspersed, there are statements about other things in there in society as well, you know, in terms of it has a little bit, you know, not as much, it's not one of the major focuses, but it has, you know, little things to say about comedy in general. It has things to say about gun violence. Just like I said, a lot of things that, you know, mob mentality. It has a lot of things I think that you can unpack from this film if you really sit and think about it. And that's, to me, one of the hallmarks of a great film is that, you know, it's multi-layered, and that it sticks with you. Like I said, I've mentioned this before, but it sticks with you after you leave, and it makes you think about, you know, what you've seen. Like I said, I saw this film on Thursday, and I haven't been able to get it out of my head because I'm still thinking about the scenes I've seen. You know, not just the masterful acting. You know, that definitely left an impression on me. But also, you know, trying to think about everything that it had to say and, you know, how it presents that to us. And not to say that, you know, a masterpiece has to be multi-layered. You know, sometimes I can think something can be very effective if it's just deliberate, direct, gets to the point and tells you what it's about and says, hey, this is the case I'm trying to make, and then makes that case. You know, I think that can be very effective as well. That can be a great film as well. But, you know, the point is that it sticks with you. Whatever point that it's trying to make, it sticks with you. And Joker, really, I think that it not only sprinkles in these points that, you know, kind of get stuck in your head and make you think about them later. It makes you, after seeing the film, makes you want to kind of reflect and ponder, okay, what was that trying to say? Or, you know, I get that it was trying to say this, but do I agree with what it's saying? You know, do I disagree? Or do I think it should have been this? And that's one of the things I really enjoy about the film. After seeing reviews afterward, it's got a 70% score on Rotten Tomatoes right now, and then a 92% audience score. I can see that it's still a bit polarizing. I think some of that has to do with the expectations that were kind of launched for it, you know, after the film festivals gave it these very superlative reviews that I thought were a bit over the top. So I think you got some people that came in, you know, with different expectations, and so I've seen reviews from a lot of people who disliked it or didn't think that it lived up to the hype. But I think that there's a lot here. It's been influenced by Taxi Driver. That's apparent. For those who haven't seen Taxi Driver, absolutely go see Taxi Driver. It's a great movie. One of my favorite films of all time. Definitely see Taxi Driver. So it's definitely, you can see elements of Taxi Driver in it. Even the director says that he was influenced by Taxi Driver. But I've heard some of the criticism that it's derivative of Taxi Driver and that it doesn't have as much to say, or it's not as deep as Taxi Driver. That I don't agree with that at all. This film makes its own statements, and one thing that I would say about it is, if you think that it's straightforward or it's straightforward to do and it's not enough, it's not really complex or it's not deep, I would implore you to kind of stop and think about what you think the movie is about, what you think it's trying to say, and then think about what did the film do to support that. And then you might look and see, well, I thought it was saying this, but when I think about the scenes they showed, maybe it's not exactly about that like I thought. But anyway, this one's getting long enough. As you can see, that I have a lot to say about this film. This is a film that I would love to do another video on with spoilers, just so that, you know, I can debate some of the finer aspects of the movie, what I think it was about. Like I say, this is a lot to unpack. I highly recommend this movie. You know, if that's the type of movie for you, character dramas, go see it. You won't be disappointed. Thanks again for the support, guys. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button if you like what you see. Definitely leave me a comment about this one. Let me know what you think. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you loved it, if you hated it, hey, let me know. This is definitely one of those films where I think commentary was one of the things that when they were initially making this movie, what they wanted to spark. Not necessarily the controversy that it's created, but commentary, dialogue, I definitely think was one of the things that this movie was designed to produce. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear competing thoughts, opposing thoughts, and let's see what we come up with. Thanks once again for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I give it a 9.5 out of 10. That's my rating. 9.5 out of 10. Great acting, great story, lot to unpack. Go see it.